Welcome to Leadership Life Force, breathing life into your business by being neurologically informed of what is going on in your workplace. I do feel like this is the missing component, especially in the age of technology. A lot of our leadership training is based on the industrial age. There is a lot going on in our world, and our nervous systems are being put upon by too much information. That too much leads me to the neurologically informed workplace, looking into the leadership first with an assessment that tells us where are the stress misalignments causing dysfunction or dynamics on your team that are causing drag. So inside of our nervous system, we have certain programs that we all have in common. These programs can become misalignment, like maybe someone on the team that you're working with, an executive team, is a micromanager. And then you have somebody who is really into empowerment. There's a big difference between micromanaging and empowerment. Those two ways of leading could lead to incongruency that can cause drag, conflict, or the denial to this being an issue on your team. So when we come in with a neurologically informed assessment, we're looking for these 8 areas that we all have in common. It's not a personality mapping of how do I get along better with this person who micromanages and this one who empowers. It's actually a way to map out, this is where we are incongruent, this is where we're clashing, this is where our energies are not syncing up, and this is where we are congruent along these 8 neurological centers of alignment. The goal then is to map out what is threatening your team and its efficiency, your team's ability to produce results. Or if you want to take it back to the performance standard, what is blocking our team's ability to perform? When we can develop these 8 centers of alignment, one of them being the higher consciousness and removing subconscious blocks, keeping us from conscious participation in team development and moving forwards, when we can get these things synced up on a team, we can create the cultural shifts that you are probably craving right now because there is just so much stress and reactivity in the workplace. So one of the big bases that we look at, which is a huge piece of information, is stress and how stress is impacting the alignment of your team. Your team's ability to connect, your team's ability to contribute their title, credentials, position, knowledge into the collective ability to move forwards. So contribution, your team's ability to collaborate, build bridges, work together, team development, collaborative mindset. Your team's ability to be cohesive, meaning to me that means holding power in extreme stress, which all of us have right now. We're moving at a speed that our nervous system wasn't really programmed for. Those who were born into it and know no difference are wired to it more than the generations before the age of technology, or those of us who bridged into technology. So we have a little bit more work to do on the integrative capacity to keep up. However, technology does shape how we think and how we see the world. So there are perception shifts that could be developed. And then there's the neurochemistry part that I call celebration. Celebration is positive reinforcement in a direction of integrative movement. So if we're moving into alignment and now we're integrating our ideas and seamlessly working together, then there is room for celebration and positive reinforcement to the programs and patterns that we're developing that actually creates a neurochemistry that rewires the brain. It's the old patterns that are getting in the way. Our brains are wired for survival. There's a part of our brain that is always seeking to keep us safe. We have to redefine in the age of technology what safety truly means. Is safety micromanagement or is safety empowerment? We run our neurologically informed assessment, look for the misalignments on your team along these 8 neuroenergy centers, show you what's threatening your team or organization, and then paint the picture of how to strengthen this and come into greater alignment. Once you have that neurologically informed information, the brain can immediately step out of old programs and start finding new solutions. You're the leaders. You know your industry. You know who you are. You know why you're here. And that is what has put you where you are. And that information is very important as we go through this neurological alignment, because as you come into greater alignment along the 8 areas that we do have in common as leaders, then you can start bringing your differential information into this integrative process and come up with the solutions from alignment rather than from misalignment. So let's map that out. Misaligned team making a decision. Stressed out team, survival-based team making a decision. There's usually a default mechanism in the brain that will seek the fastest solution possible. When the brain is stressed out, or when the brain is in fear, or when the brain is in overdrive, it will seek the fastest path out, which does not mean that your team is making the strongest decisions. We regulate the nervous system. We find the areas where you can strengthen your alignment and bring synergy into your team where things start to flow and integrate. Now we're keeping up with technology, the tech integrated leader who can look at different scenarios as a team and a group and then make a solution based that is in alignment with your team. When a team is in alignment along the 8 neuroenergy centers, there's flow, there's creativity, there is empathy. As you're developing these new patterns in the brain, one that we're looking for is empathy, the ability to be empathic, because the survival brain can't. The survival brain has created patterns of tension, and this is what I've talked about in my previous episodes. The survival brain is walling you up to survive, and it's seeking only that fastest pathway out, which isn't always the best pathway for your team, for your organization, or for yourself. When we're doing this neurologically informed assessment, we're looking for what are the greatest stressors, how are they impacting the energy of the team, are you in energetic alignment with each other, are there massive misalignments? Like one of the big ones that comes up is trust. Mistrust. Now, it's not always mistrust on the executive team. You may have a cohesive executive team, but we've also looked into organizations because we do cultural transformation and we apply this as a full cultural perspectives evaluation. And what usually comes back is people do not trust where the organization is going, but they're stuck in a job and they're unhappy. Stress cycles cause this to happen. Stress cycles on a physical, emotional, mental level, energetic level, cause incongruencies and misalignments even with your organization. So think about all that drag inside of your organization. We want to see where the blocks and barriers are and how they are coming from the operational system. Now, here's the unique thing about our neurologically informed process. My ability is to read that neurological process in community, in collective, and put the mechanics together of how all the nervous systems are working together in your organization and moving either into alignment or into dysfunction and misalignment. Wouldn't this be really important information to inform your ability to bring in a new piece of technology that speeds up business? Can my leaders keep up with that? It's a question that you may want to ask yourself. Can my culture keep up with the transformation that I want for my organization? Or are we swimming in a sea of mental health destruction where people are just reactive and angry and frustrated? These are things that we bring up in our neurologically informed assessment, and we look at it from a collective perspective, like I've said throughout this podcast, of alignment. When we're in alignment with ourselves, things flow. When we are in alignment with our team, things work seamlessly. When we are in alignment with our organization and our organization is in alignment with us and they feel connected and part of the mission and vision, things move. So ask yourself, do you want dysfunction that has drag, or do you want alignment that functions as structure so that you can flow in the age of integrative technology? We've got to keep up. Our brains have to keep up. And when we're wired for survival, which many of us are, and when we're inundated by information that stresses our nervous system and causes tension patterns, the flow gets stopped. and you're feeling it as chaos. The chaos is the misalignment. The chaos is the dysfunction. So bring in an assessment that allows you to see into why are these dysfunctions and misalignments happening, and what can we do to come into alignment. However, I just want you to understand how important it is for our brain to be wired from survival to thrival, which means whole brain leadership, using different parts of our nervous system that we may not have programmed to use before, activating new patterns from the activating centers, visioning new visions, being part of the solution as we all bring our brains together to create solution-based alignment. That's where the flow is. And that's where the future of leadership is. Neurologically informed leadership, workplaces, and assessments that help us be aligned and stay in our contributing differences so that we can get the job done. Breathing life back into business.